You are about to enter a great adventure.
This is Starting from Gorilla.
Hey everybody, hope everyone enjoyed their holidays, Christmas, whatever you're celebrating. Welcome back to another episode of Strutting from Gorilla, the final episode of 2023. I am Mikey Cash, and alongside me is Big Vito. Big Vito, how was your Christmas?
It's good, man. You know, we're back in the new age here with power and internet. I apologize for missing your great episode with the man Becky Lynch, but I'm back. I'm ready to go, and excited for the episode here as we end the year and kind of talk about everything that went on and what we think is going to happen for next year.
Yeah, man. I didn't want to bring it up. I knew it was a sore subject for you. I know you were really looking forward to it, but it was a great time talking with Becky Lynch. She was just fantastic. Big ups to Sarge for helping us get that set up. So our newest member of the SFG family. So it just continues to expand. I feel like this end of the year, we've really had some growth here.
2023 is the year of FSG. That's what I'm saying from now on. Hashtag.
The year of the gorilla. Is that even on?
Yeah, year of the gorilla. It's the new was it the Chinese calendar there? That's the year of the gorilla this year. So
it's funny you mentioned that. Mrs. Cash was Googling Strutting from Gorilla, and there's two pictures that come up. One is our icon for the podcast, and the second is an actual strutting gorilla. So I think we're in good company. So we're really making it, you know.
We got to give props to the leader of men, Bobby Stone, for the setup. You know, back in when we were in our grassroots days, Bobby Stone did a great job. So shout out to him with the icon. We'll never change that. That'll stay forever.
Never.
Yeah. Ashton Stone.
We love you, leader of men. So what the hell are we talking about today? Well, we have a special guest on our podcast today. She is a longtime friend of our podcast and a friend of ours. She's our resident expert, all things New Japan and AEW. Ania will be sort of coming on and sharing some thoughts on the recent developments in the MJF and the Devil storyline. So really looking forward to hearing her thoughts on that. And we're also going to end the year by giving some of our top matches and kind of talking about like what are our wrestling resolutions for 2024. I feel like people are always talking about, well, what am I going to do next year? I'm going to work out. I'm going to eat healthier. Like, how are you going to approach wrestling any differently?
I like that.
Yeah,
I like that. I think that sounds great. You know, everyone needs a good New Year's resolution. I think the wrestling industry does too. And as fans of wrestling, which is what we are and what this podcast is all about, it's great to have Ania coming on here. She'll be on in a moment. And, you know, we're hoping for next year, maybe we'll have some more guests in different lights. Maybe some people who have TikTok pages, some authors, maybe some other independent wrestlers, kind of expanding it. I mean, heck, we'll do things a little different than other people. So I'm excited for 2024.
Me too.
Yeah,
I'm excited for it.
It'll be good.
So should we just dive right in? Should we get Ania in here?
Yeah, let's get her on. And Ania.
Yes.
Hi.
Awesome. Great to have you with us.
Thank you for having me. Big, huge fan. Congrats on getting the man. I know I'm just the woman. You couldn't get the man today.
Yeah, you got some big shoes to fill, but no, we're excited. We're excited to have you here, Ania, and talk some wrestling. So, Mikey, you want to fire away a question at Ania?
Well, I mean, Ania, first off, really glad that you're here. I'm glad that we're finally able to do this. And two, you know, when I got the text from Vito that you had some thoughts about AEW, I was so intrigued to hear from someone who was such a diehard AEW fan. Like, you were really behind them right from the get-go. And I always admired that because I kind of struggled myself sometimes with how much I can sort of get behind them, because I really want them to succeed. But sometimes I was watching things on TV that just aren't making a lot of sense. And I've had that problem with WWE too, but I've noticed the pattern is increasing a little bit in AEW TV recently. So I'm just curious, like, what is it you're seeing? What led you to send Vito that text?
It's been a roller coaster. I don't know if you remember back in the Vince McMahon era when Roman Reigns was the golden boy. Like, now we're behind Roman. But there was a moment where we all didn't really like Roman.
Oh, yeah.
And there was a specific suffering succotash moment where it was a promo in between Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns. And Seth was phenomenal. And Roman's comeback was, "You're just a pile of suffering succotash." That was the moment where I just clicked, and I didn't watch WWE for years until, the new reign of Triple H, which has been amazing.
Papa H.
I know.
Yep. And so AEW, they come in, they bring in some amazing talent. It started off with Cody Rhodes, Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks. Like, you don't get much bigger than that if you're like an underground wrestling fan, right? If you're a fan of New Japan, I'm wearing my Kenny t-shirt today representing Hope All as well. And so you got some amazing talent, and then you bring in some, I think that's what really started their momentum, is WWE was firing left and right, amazing wrestlers. Who was scooping them all up? AEW. So we were excited, and they kept bringing on new wrestlers from pay-per-view to pay-per-view to pay-per-view. There was even one last year or 2 years ago that brought on Bryan Danielson and Adam Cole in one night.
I remember watching that, I think, with Vito, and it was just like, I couldn't believe it. I was like, these are two gigantic debuts, and they put them all at the end of one pay-per-view. It was like 10 minutes of just pure bliss.
Yeah, exactly. I remember we talked about that, Mikey, where you were like, it is great, but this can only last for so long. It's that quick shot, of excitement. And
I've had that worry for a while.
You have had that worry for a while, but what was it? Yeah, we got that. I got that angry, very upset, which is not a frequent thing from Ania about AEW and the latest MJF segment. What was it that pissed you off so much?
So specifically regarding that, so MJF has been wrestling tag team matches by himself for a minute now, right? Mm-hmm. He had a legitimate tag team match against a legitimate tag team just a couple months ago on a pay-per-view, The Righteous. They had, a good match. They fought hard, right? They wanted the tag titles against one man, and they lose. Kills their momentum.
Yeah.
What's next for them? I'm a huge fan from them. I think their gimmick is cool. Like, it's very Wyatt family reminiscent, where it's kind of like that cult leader. Like, you feel like an eerie vibe from them, but they're not like, I don't know. I would guess you would call them heels, but they're
right.
They're tweeners.
Mean. Yeah, they're not mean. So it's like, they're interesting, right? So a good tag team that had good momentum. They won their match on, I believe it was either Rampage or Collision the night before. And so we all thought, if MJF is wrestling alone, it makes sense for him to lose it to them. They're building up this tag team, right? They got a good storyline. Nope. One man beat two men that were on fire. So that pissed me off. And then where does the Righteous go from here, right? They bring on Jake the Snake.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys remember that. It happened like very quickly.
It was, It just seemed like he was just there one day. Like there was no real rhyme or reason for it. He was just shows up.
It does fit. It does fit the bill. He is kind of got that weird like look, kind of, and he had the Bible stuff. Yeah, listen. If they started it off like that from the beginning, I think it would be great. But just kind of throwing stuff against the wall, like I feel like that's been their MO over the last like year. And there's it's like up and down. You don't know what's going to happen, where the storyline ends. And then when it does end, it's not very good. Right. And I don't know if this is a combination of the fact that WWE's storylines have just been so good and we're seeing the flaws, or if it's a combination of that AEW's just have been very, very bad. You know what I mean? Like you could look at it both ways, but I think it's a combination of both, to be honest. I really do.
But that's the thing, and that's where I was getting at. Like, they brought him with Jake the Snake. Okay, you guys have a storyline now. After your storyline was crushed and you lost your momentum, now you're trying to build it back. Okay, why haven't we seen them since then? They just fell off of TV.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's what they do. Then they go on Rampage, which nobody watches, right? And you don't see them, or AEW Dark, which actually, do they still have AEW Dark?
I think they got rid of it. No,
okay.
I think it's done now. So once they got Collision, I think that it's now just Dynamite, Rampage, Collision, and they got rid of Dark.
Now, well, let me ask you guys this: Do you watch Collision? Like, I know it was a big thing on Saturday.
Yeah,
you do watch it. Okay. Yeah, because I don't know if it was has it been good? Because I haven't watched it.
It's fine. For me personally, it's fine. I DVR it on purpose so that I can kind of fast forward through things I feel like aren't really worth my time watching. I mean, I do this. This isn't just an AEW thing. I do it with Raw, SmackDown. Like, there's some things I'm just like, I'm going to fast forward through this and kind of get to what I want to see.
What about you, Anya? Do you like it?
I like it. I feel like it has a different vibe than Dynamite. Like, Dynamite is very like, so, you know, if you blink, all of a sudden the match is over, everybody's brawling in the ring. While Collision has more of like a structure and it makes more sense to me, my personal opinion. So I do watch it. Yeah, and I used to watch Rampage too. Like, I was such a fan. Like, I feel, storyline aside, like, they have such great talent that they put on amazing matches. Like, just past this Dynamite on Wednesday, you open up with Swerve Strickland, Jay White, and Jon Moxley in a 3-way match, and it was pay-per-view quality.
It was great. It was beautiful.
So you started the show on a great note, and you ended it with who I was talking about, MJF, who fought one man fighting 2 men in a, you know, hell of a fight from the other tag team, loses the tag titles in 30 seconds.
Yeah.
That was my suffering succotash moment. I couldn't sleep that night. Like, even like my boyfriend was sleeping, I woke him up and I'm like, this was awful. I might be done with AEW, and I'm the biggest person to defend them. You know?
Right.
I live in Tampa, and that's like WWE country over here. And I'm, you know, the indie wrestling, the second promotion wrestling. Like, come on, give them a chance. Like, watch them, see what they can do. Like, they have great names, but at this moment of time, like, I don't even know if I'm going to watch the pay-per-view tonight.
Oh, you will. I know you will. You got to, because then it'll suck you right back in.
right at the last minute, she'll hit order.
No, AEW's been great.
I mean, I'm hoping so. I am excited to see Swerve versus Keith Lee. You know, the match that should have happened 2 years ago that everybody kind of forgot about, but.
Well, I think that's you're kind of hitting it on the head. Is sometimes the storylines are so like disjointed, where you'll have some progress on something and it seems like it gets momentum, and then suddenly you just don't hear anything about it for a couple of weeks, or maybe in this case with Swerve and Keith Lee, like months and months go by. Keith Lee's doing something different. He has these like kind of it feels like very like second tier storyline stuff with who's it? Was it Shane Taylor? Am I have that right? I don't know who his old tag team partner, but this is what I'm saying. Like, it's not enough for us to even remember who it is that he's fighting. And then Swerve like loses this match, and then he's like, oh yeah, by the way, Keith Lee, yeah, let's have a match on Saturday. Like, okay. Okay.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, you know, you had that great storyline with Swerve and Moxley, right? And then all of a sudden you have that great match, you know, he's drinking blood, and then you go into a
Hangman
storyline from a year ago, you know? It was Hangman. I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right. Not Moxley. My fault. But then you go into the story with Keith Lee from a year and a half ago. So it's like you're all over the place. It just doesn't make much sense. It's hard to stay invested into it. You know, quite honestly, the only thing that's been exciting is the MJF a little bit, right? And then the storyline with the Devil, because like you're trying to figure out, and they've stayed consistent with it we don't know who it is, so they've stayed consistent with it.
But do you guys remember when the Devil first came and attacked Jay White, and then we didn't hear about it for like a month?
Right. It was just a bunch of nothing. They maybe showed like one clip
Yeah.
Like the next show, it might have been Rampage or even Collision, and then we didn't really hear about it again. It's yeah. I struggle with it because I do want to like it. And I think there's some parts of it that are very interesting, but you had mentioned something, Anya, about how this sort of tag title run that MJF has had on his own is really sort of hurt the tag team division in Ring of Honor, because it's sort of like, well, do these titles even matter? I mean, so you got, yeah, he's the AEW champion, and I know that counts for something, but at the same time, I mean, if this was WWE, we would be killing them right now.
Roasting them.
You're destroying the division. You're not giving other guys a real chance to succeed in any way. You're saying that Ring of Honor is important to you, but you're doing this. And so every weekly on TV, there's no tag team titles going on. There's nothing happening there. And so it's sort of in this like holding pattern while MJF had them. And now you got the Devil's Mask Men as the new Ring of Honor tag champs. And
yeah, whoever that is.
That brings up a great question. Let's talk about it here. Who do you think the Devil is? We've been debating it for a couple of weeks, and I feel like obviously in the wrestling world, everyone loves surprises, and this type of stuff gets you all horny, right? As a wrestling fan, so so at least it does for me. Okay,
Jesus, Vito, it's not even 8:30 in the morning yet.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying.
Buy me dinner first.
So Anya, who do you think the Devil is? Like, what's your prediction? We've gone back and forth a million times.
I think the realistic guess would be Kyle O'Reilly, Adam Cole, maybe even Bobby Fish. Who knows? Yeah. Bring them all back together. Even one might be Britt Baker. That's what the rumors have been saying. That's what my boyfriend believes, that it's a scorned Britt Baker. I don't know. I kind of want it to be CM Punk. How big of an FU would that be?
I mean, that would be pretty crazy. I mean, we've gone back and forth. Obviously, the big one is Jungle Boy, right? People think it's Jungle Boy. They said it's not. But this is news to you, Mikey Cash. But okay. I was sitting in my bed this morning, thinking, how good would it be if the Devil was Tony Khan himself? Think about it. Think about this, though. Think about this. Think about this.
Okay.
He could come on. He's wearing the MJF mask, right? The Devil mask. And for when did MJF come back? Like right after he had that contract dispute, and he came back with that same mask. And what I think it would be a decent swerve here. And you get him involved on TV in a Vince McMahon, heel way. People are already talking crap about Tony Khan. Like, why not? Why not throw him in there? And then the Masked Men are like the corporation. Remember, like back in the day.
Yeah, that's kind of why I wouldn't want that to happen.
Hey, I'm not saying
what everybody would complain about is that it just feels like a recycled story.
Perfect.
I mean, not that wrestling doesn't do that anyway. But
yeah, it's a perfect storyline. It's a perfect wrestling storyline.
I mean, you see Tony as like this good guy, right? Like he's the type of manager that everybody can push over because he's so nice and he wants to be friends with everybody. And he's just a big, huge wrestling fan. And he needs to be more stern. I think that'd be interesting to see that change in him. But I also feel like that never happened because we have to think of somebody that doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Now, but then see, if it was Tony Khan, he could take all the WWE guys he brought in, or the ones that aren't doing very much, and make them as part of his little stable. And you get like NWO versus WCW storyline there. So yeah,
Vito's been on this kick lately of like really wanting to have an NWO in 2024. Like there's just something, I don't know what it is with you lately.
I don't know. I'm just thinking outside the box here, guys. That was my prediction, but I liked yours too, though, Anya, with some of the Bullet Club members, right? That you were mentioning. Yeah. That would be pretty interesting if it was them too. It probably makes more sense, but
I just wonder
the thing. Like I feel like it might not make sense, and we might all just be disappointed. Like it's going to be Don Callis.
Yeah, yeah.
That would be great, right? They're just like, of course it's Don Callis.
Yeah. It's gonna be Danhausen or something.
He's placed a curse on him,
Yeah,
on MJF. That's why all of this stuff has happened to him. So,
oh, 100%, 100%.
so is that the go? Is that the breaking news now from Strutting from Gorilla that it's actually Danhausen is actually the devil?
Yeah, that's gonna be on that's gonna be on all the dirt sites now.
I believe MJF was cursed.
Yeah, he was cursed. I cursed you. No, that was good. What else is going on, Anya? What how do you feel about, we're gonna when you get off here, we're gonna finish our episode with the 2023 review here. So, if you were to grade some stuff, what were your highlights of the year, and what are you looking forward to for 2024?
In terms of AEW or all of wrestling?
All of wrestling. All of wrestling. We've been pretty heavy into AEW here, so you can give us your opinions on something else if you want as well.
And I feel like WWE has better storylines right now at the moment, because with AEW, they're giving gold and they turned it into dirt sometimes. But WWE, I feel like Triple H has like this slow burn mentality of how he wants his stories to play through.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really excited. I love what he's doing with Shinsuke right now. Like, he's really making him pop and look like a villain. Like, he's a little anime character right now with like his storytelling. He's like a super villain. So I'm excited to see them build upon that, because lately his momentum has been like up and down. He's had those great matches with Seth, and then he feuded with Cody, who's like their top guy. He's like the John Cena of 2023 going into 2024. I want to see that man finish the story too.
I know. We all do.
CM Punk threw a wrench in that now.
Yeah,
he's got his own story he wants to finish.
Yeah.
Is everybody a fan of CM Punk here? I'm not.
I went back and forth. It's like I'm in this kind of terrible relationship with someone, and they do these horrible things, and I always say I'm never going to talk to them again. And the next thing you know, it's late at night. I'm lonely. We get a text message, and we start chatting it up again. And so that's how I feel with CM Punk. Like, I kind of know in the back of my mind that something's probably going to happen, but I just sort of enjoy the ride while it's good.
I mean, he'll tell you that, but probably 10 years ago, there was a photo taken, which I will find, by the way, with Mikey Cash in a CM Punk shirt. So I
didn't say I wasn't a fan of his. I just said, people change over time. Is a long time ago.
We call those people flip-floppers, Mike. And listen, I've been true through and through with my CM Punk takes. I have been steadily said I think I like him. I will stand that ground. You know what? He's not the greatest person in the world, and he might be kind of an asshole, but you know what? He makes me want to watch wrestling. So I turn the TV on when he's on. And I will be honest, it was great. We talked about this on our last episode, Anya. The interaction with him and Seth Rollins on Raw a few weeks ago was the first time in a while I almost got like goosebumps watching a segment on Raw. Like, it was wild. I haven't felt that way in a long time. So you could feel the raw emotion, whether it was real, fake, shoot, whatever. It doesn't really matter. It was good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it felt organic. It felt like maybe they played upon the realness of it, because Seth is not a fan of him and he's not happy that he's back. So they went with it and they played into it and they developed a story out of it. But I'm really hoping CM Punk does not take Cody's momentum. I'm going to the Rumble. I want to see Cody win. I am also upset with CM Punk for taking Jade Cargill's momentum. Like, she hasn't even debuted yet. Nobody's talking about her anymore.
Yeah. Funny, we mentioned that on our last podcast too.
Well, what's weird is, I think something happened with Jade's like family or something, because she had some posts on social media that kind of indicated that like something was going on personally. So I'm not trying to put on blast here on this show, but I mean, if she put on social media, people can kind of go to her feed and kind of check it out. But I think it will adequately explain why she hasn't been around. But CM Punk is a good reason for it too. Because not only did he steal her momentum, but also remember Randy Orton came back? Nobody remembered.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Long lost dad finally came back, after going to the store to get Pop-Tarts, and nobody's talking about it. Everybody's talking about CM Punk.
And he came back jacked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely jacked.
Yeah. He's yoked.
Big time.
Yeah. No, it's a good point, Anya. And I agree with the CM Punk part. Like, yeah, I don't want him taking momentum, but I also think he could also, if used right, can bring things to another level. Like, is this just going to be a quick shot where he gets eyeballs on there and then it fades away? Like, I don't want that, but I also don't want him, main eventing WrestleMania to take someone else's spot, right? But if they use him the right way, and I think it can be very valuable, because, he does, when you watch him on TV and he has some of these promos, he does elicit some emotion and inject some life into some of his opponents. And there's so many possibilities of things you can see him do with some of the WWE talent that I think would be great.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if anybody got to see some of the highlights, but his match with Dom at MSG was actually really good. And I mean, Dom's one of my favorites. He's been like one of my MVPs of 2023. So don't get me
started. Dirty Dom.
Dirty Dom. The heat that guy gets is unreal. I was just at the
time. He did hard time.
He did hard time. What did he do? Like an afternoon in jail? That was.
He went to prison. Okay, he went to prison.
Oh, it's one of the funniest jokes that they continue to run with on WWE commentary. But no, he looked good. He looked good in the ring. I don't know. I don't know what we're gonna get from CM Punk. I think odds are they're heading towards Seth and Punk at Mania, and maybe that's good because it's focused on one world title, and then that leaves Roman open for him and Cody to sort of have their second match and hopefully finish the story, because that's the thing that I had trouble with the Devil storyline, is like, if it starts to go on just a little bit too long, people are going to lose interest. And because things have been disjointed, we're not getting like all those updates that we'd like to sort of keep our interest week to week on this MJF Devil storyline. So I don't want them to do that with Cody, and I fear like we're about there. We're like getting to that point, even though he's having great matches and good rivalries with Shinsuke. Love Shinsuke, but I don't know. I worry about it. I don't know about you guys.
I feel the same way, but I'm more excited about it. I have faith in Papa H. I do. I think he's not going to take the Vince McMahon approach and bury other people. I think he'll find a way to make it work. He tends to, like you think about it, when there was a point where I think Becky Lynch and Trish Stratus were left off a card and people were up in arms about it. So what did he do? He made them the main event of the next pay-per-view, right? Like it's things like that go a long way, where I feel like in the Vince McMahon era, you wouldn't. It would just be, I'm doing it this way, too bad, Yeah. And I think he brought CM Punk in because people wanted to see him, and he did it. And I think it was good. And I think it opens up a door for a lot of things. And let's be honest about this. There's a lot of hours of WWE TV to go around, right? Yeah. I would tell you that, AEW doesn't have that luxury. They still have a good amount, but I think with the hours WWE has, they'll find a way, and it'll be key to see what happens here at the Rumble. I'm excited. Hopefully you'll have an SFG strutting from Gorilla sign up there, Anya, when you go.
On the back of my CM Punk sucks one.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fair.
Yes. Yeah. Anya, I had a question for you. I wanted to ask it earlier, and I know we got sidetracked, but I'm curious, what are your thoughts right now about how AEW is kind of handling the women's division?
It's garbage. I mean, their only star right now is Toni Storm, and she's just, her character is great. She's phenomenal on commentary. She's the only one who has something going. I don't even know who's the TBS champion. Oh, Julia Hart, right?
Julia Hart.
Yeah.
who also had her momentum crushed because she was on a 23 match win streak and then lost it because she was getting married and was going to be off TV for a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Like, you could have done vignettes or something. I don't know. There's just non-existent women's wrestling, and I do appreciate this of Tony. I don't want to say too much bad. Like, I want to focus on something that's good. Is he did listen to the fans when people were out in the crowd saying, like, show us women's wrestling, or, you know, they're just not doing anything with their women's division. The next night, the women were the main event, and they were the main event in Rampage, Collision. Like, he was like, okay, he knows, he listens, he knows what people want, and he wants to deliver. He just doesn't, I don't think he knows how. He needs help. He needs somebody to, like, really guide him. And I think that's what Cody was doing when he was back there. And ever since he left, it kind of just, like, slowly started to fall apart. He had nothing to do with the women's division, but their women's division is just non-existent. I was looking at their roster the other day because we see the same, like, 5 women week in, week out, you know, great women. Like, Hikaru Shida was great, you know.
Love her.
Yeah, exactly. Now we got Thunder Rosa back, so I'm excited to see what they do with that. You know, we have great champions. We have Toni Storm. We have Julia Hart. Do something. Like, give them a story instead of just like, oh, somebody comes out at the end of their match and challenges for next week. You know, we want, like, a grudge. We want something. And I think maybe Britt Baker missing is an element missing of that. You know, losing Jade Cargill, they lost a lot with losing her because she had a great momentum going for her, and she was a dominant champion.
That's true. She was a great she was getting better and better too. That last match she had with Statlander was arguably Cargill's best match. It was fantastic.
Hey, Mikey, you know, Anya, you bring up a good point about Tony Khan needing help. And Mikey, if I know a certain free agent creative guy who's available, he's had great success in the past. He's from Long Island. If he were here and Tony Khan asked him to join the creative staff, what would he say?
Sorry, it took me a minute for you to, like,
what would he say with this? Yeah, what would he say?
Well, I think it might be something along the lines of, you know, bro, China's not walking in through that door anymore. I used to write for WWF magazine in 1996. Now, in that time, Vince McMahon was really struggling against WCW. And it was because of China that things started to turn around, bro. So we need to get ourselves somebody like her, somebody who's dominant. I think that's really how it's going to turn it around. I don't know. That's
a great Vince Russo.
It's early for Vince Russo. So
I know I caught you off guard.
Apologies.
But I was just curious what he would say, and if Tony Khan asked him for help. But those are good points, Anya. Great Vince Russo as always.
Well, I think what they'll do is he'll probably propose some sort of contract on a pole match.
Yeah,
honestly, it's like
contract
in main event Rampage on a pole.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like what it'll be. But
absolutely. Well, cool. Anya, is there anything else you want to add before we let you take off? We appreciate you being on here.
Can we talk about New Japan for a hot second?
Would love to.
So I don't really watch too much of it anymore because we don't have cable and I don't keep up with it. But my favorite event that AEW has every year now is the Forbidden Door, because we get to see people like Okada coming through, Tanahashi coming through, and they seem, maybe because they're on technically an AEW pay-per-view, they're on American soil, I feel like they come here and they lose a lot of their matches. A lot of AEW people take their titles and bring it into AEW. Like, some of them are on the line in that Continental Classic right now. Do you think that AEW is slowly kind of severing their relationship with New Japan by doing something like that? Because I would feel personally attacked. Like, I'm giving you my top stars like Okada, And yeah, you're giving him a match with Bryan Danielson, but like, why does my boy gotta lose?
Right, right.
Yeah.
It's about like how do you protect your promotion as well as AEW protecting theirs, and it's like it's out of balance. Like it's AEW heavy, and you have to wonder, yeah, does that start to hurt the relationship? I would say over time that probably would. Yeah. Maybe we'll see what happens this year if they can sort of right that and correct it, and maybe have a majority of New Japan guys ending up like winning their big matches, because you don't want to hurt those wrestlers and all of kind of the spotlight that they bring, especially when they go back to Japan. It's like, well, why am I going to follow this guy if he's worse than the other guy? You know, it's New Japan's also trying to establish something in the US, and I think in order to do that, you have to make them look credible.
Exactly.
Well, I think it's a really great point, Anya. And my take on it is a little bit different than yours, because I don't watch New Japan wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know any of the people that come over. And so every time they do the Forbidden Door, I love the concept. And we talk about this every single time. I wish AEW gave more backstory to who some of these people were, so I understood who they were. Like even little video vignettes of, okay, hey, is this person? So I don't really know. But if I was New Japan, I think they have a lot less leverage in this situation, and it's more of, hey, we're getting our we're getting our titles on TV, so people are going to ask about this. And I do think there does have to be a little bit of balance, but I think AEW holds more cards here because they're getting more eyeballs on their titles and their wrestlers. Sure. And it's like, okay, if they tell us, well, their stars have to win, do we even put them on TV? Like, Yeah. It's not like AEW stars are going, and they are going over to New Japan, but how often is the mix, right? So that's kind of how I would look at it, at least. But I do wish they enlightened us a little bit more on who some of these stars were, because they had a couple people come over that are in AEW now, and it's I don't really know their backstory, so it's hard for me to get invested.
Yeah, and some of the fans seem to know him. Like, you get a match with Shibata, and people are like, "Oh my god!" and you're like, "But who's that?" Kota Ibushi, huge
no idea.
name.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Where is he at? My problem is with that Continental Classic. If you're putting New Japan titles on the line,
that's stupid.
Why are there no New Japan guys fighting for it?
Yeah, that's right. Like none of them are in this tournament. They're just like, okay,
it's like having an ECW title and not having ECW people fighting for it, right? Like when WWE came back with the WWECW brand. It was stupid. I get it completely. It's a really good point.
I tend to think that from what I've seen, because I watch a lot more Impact than I ever used to, and they seem to have a way better relationship with New Japan and the way they handle that, because they always do these little like multiverse of madness kind of things, like these pay-per-views where it's like it's Impact guys and New Japan, and they do a good job of showcasing the New Japan stars. So I feel like they're doing a much better job of maintaining that relationship than AEW might be right now.
Yeah, that's why I'm kind of surprised that Will Ospreay chose AEW instead of Impact.
Yeah, he seemed to have a lot of great things to say about Impact. And so I was like shocked when he was like, yeah, I really love Impact. And then he just shows up on AEW like, oh, okay.
Money talks, baby.
Yeah, that's true.
Money rules the world.
Poor Scott D'Amore.
Yeah. We'll see.
I guess we'll see where Okada ends up, because rumor is that WWE is trying to get him.
Yeah, I heard about that. I don't know. And where does Mercedes go? We've been hearing all this news back and forth. She was in Boston earlier this week, but now all the reporting is that those talks fell through. So who knows where she's going to wind up?
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome.
It'll be interesting. Awesome. Anya, we appreciate having you on here. You are welcome anytime, and we'll try and get you on more regularly but you gotta catch up on some New Japan so we can pick your brain about it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, listen, we look forward to seeing you at the Rumble. Thanks again for coming on, and we will talk with you next time.
Sure thing. Thanks guys.
Anya. Appreciate it.
Yeah, Anya. All right.
That was great. That was awesome. That was refreshing. We need that. We need to be talking about more than just the big two. So,
absolutely. No, it's always great to have Anya on. She might be more knowledgeable in the world of wrestling than both of us combined. So always great to pick her brain, and we'll have her on again. We'll have her.
Yeah,
on again,
absolutely,
sure.
absolutely. She's been a fan since day one, so we gotta shout out to her. She's great.
Absolutely. All right, so let's switch gears. I know we got about 20 minutes left here, and I know we want to talk about some things. Before we get into the end of the year stuff, though, quickly, we didn't talk about this. You were at the latest WWE live event, and wanted to get your thoughts. It looked like you had a great time, and heard good things.
Yeah. Myself, Mrs. Cash, and some other family members. We went to the holiday tour at TD Garden on Wednesday night. It was a really fantastic show. I had been to a house show with my family like back in like 2015, and it was a much different vibe. It was not even close to being a sellout, and this one was close to being a sellout. I mean, even up in the balcony in the 300s, it was like over halfway full up there, and so it was really great to see. Like, it was packed, and that crowd was into it. Like, I know that sometimes a crowd can kind of like kill a show, but they were behind everything. It felt like this might have been like a televised event with the way people were reacting and kind of the quality that they put into the show itself. I got to see Dirty Dom. Him and Cody Rhodes had a last man standing match, which was it was a lot of fun to watch.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I know. It was really great. Just to throw it out there, this is my first time really seeing her live, but Rhea Ripley has such presence. When she comes out, you just feel like she's a big deal. I can't explain it other than you have to be there, and there's sort of an energy in the crowd when she comes out. And
well, wait, didn't we see her live at the Survivor Series?
Oh, damn it. You're right. All right.
Yeah.
She's got more of a presence now. Yeah, she's got more of a presence now.
I'm right.
Yeah. Right. All right, Vito, this is your one time. Okay.
Yeah, you damn right.
It's your one time. But yeah, she was really fantastic. She had she defended the title against Ivy Nile, and I thought it was a great match. Ivy Nile held her own too. I think she's got a lot of upside too. So real promising for the women's division, just like future stars and future challengers for her. Man, it was just a fun show overall. Like, I couldn't say enough good things about it. I really had a good time. And
so the man, Becky Lynch, lived up to her interview.
She lived up. She opened the show. Opened the show, and it was a hell of a way to open it up. It was her versus Zoe Stark. And I love Zoe Stark. I think she's another one that will be a contender soon enough. But yeah, her and Becky had a hell of a match. And Becky didn't give us a shout out, but that's fine. Like, you want to keep the relationship under the radar. You don't want to be too. I don't want to be too like gaudy.
Yeah, we don't want people storming the ring when she mentioned strutting from Gorilla at a live event.
Yeah,
like that's
and for everybody to be like, who the hell is that?
Yeah, right, exactly. So, that's great. Well, I wanted to just touch on that.
Yeah, it was awesome.
I know you went, and that's great. Anytime WWE or AEW or any wrestling promotion for that matter, me and you try to make it if we can. So, cool. All right, let's switch gears and talk about our year end here. I think a lot of people in the wrestling world beat this topic to death with the end of the year reviews. But I do think we need to give our input as Stark fans in the wrestling world. From our view, kind of what we thought was a highlight and some matches that were big and what we look forward to in 2020, 2024. So,
well, Vito, do you want to start off?
Sure. Yeah. You want to talk about so let's talk about top matches.
Do our top matches.
Yeah. I think one of mine, I thought hard about this because I have a hard time. There's so much wrestling to think about one match over a year. Did it happen in 2023? Yeah. Was it the year before? I don't even know. But I thought it was a great year for wrestling. And I think one of the top matches, and this is in no particular order. I just kind of threw them out there. But I think mine was McIntyre, Sheamus, and Gunther at WrestleMania 39, which is kind of shocking that I would put these three on there. I don't see McIntyre and Sheamus as having a like 5-star match or anything like that on the norm, but it was such a hard-hitting match, and I think Gunther is such a great wrestler. He kind of brought out the best in the three of them. I mean, I remember watching that and being like I had that shock face when they were hitting each other, right? Because it was hard, man. It was hard hitting. So I would put that one up there as my number one, or in my top 5.
Okay. I mean, that's a very hard hitting match, and there's a style that those guys have that I think like is really appealing because it's different than what you normally see.
Yeah,
Like
no
the modern
flip-floppies.
style now, you know how I feel about that.
Yeah.
Like sometimes if it's too much flip flop and like it's all like white noise to me. So
Yeah.
this is like a nice change of pace from that.
Agreed. All right, what was yours?
All right. So for me, again, no particular order, but I am going to throw a women's triple threat, and it is going to have Mercedes Moné in it. This is from Genesis in New Japan. This match, it's Mercedes Moné versus Suzuki versus Azumi. I think this was one of the better triple threat matches I think I've ever seen. So speaking of New Japan, right? I am making a New Year's resolution. So spoiler alert, that I'm going to be getting the New Japan World app. I just downloaded it on Roku because now they updated it and they're making it available. So I decided I'm going to just take the plunge. I'm going to dive in first of the year and really go for it. So through like the kind of the free preview, I've been able to like watch this match over again, and it holds up. I think it just shows how good Mercedes is too. You know, like she can hold her own in this new environment with other high caliber talent. It's just a fantastic triple threat match. I would recommend if anybody can find it elsewhere or subscribe to the New Japan, they should check it out. It's a really great match.
Yeah, I like that. I can tell you I have not seen it, so I will try to take a peek at it. But I trust your judgment on that one, and I mean it's not a shocker. So I can't call her Mercedes. I'm just calling her Sasha.
I know. I go back and forth myself.
Yeah, I can't do it. So that's a good one. I will go down just to keep things going here. I threw and there's a couple that I think me and you might agree on. We didn't really go over this, but I'm gonna go for one that maybe we didn't have the same, and I'm gonna go for Logan Paul and Seth Rollins also at WrestleMania 39. I thought WrestleMania 39 was one of the better WrestleManias we've seen in a while, and I'm shocked that I would even put this on here, to be completely honest with you.
I am too. You hate celebrities in WWE.
I hate celebrities in WWE, but I got to give credit where credit is due, and I thought that match outperformed. Maybe it's because it outperformed what my expectation was, but I thought it was a great match. There was a lot of flip-floppity beboppities going on in there, but we'll let that slide. I thought it was a great match, and again, it was kind of like that. Seth Rollins does a great job of making it feel real because he kind of was on my side. He doesn't like celebrities in WWE either. And he's like,
it's true.
But Logan Paul is a freak, man. He put on he like adopted so quickly to all of it. And I thought it was a great match. I could have done without the Prime, but the Prime drink, but you know what? It added a little bit of mystique, a little bit of different settings.
It is what it is now. There's always going to be parts of that. It'll be a Slim Jim sponsored match or something like that.
Fine. Whatever. I don't care. Whatever you need to do. So,
wow. All right. I'm surprised. But I'm pleasantly surprised because that was a really good match. I think Logan Paul is, I mean, you hate to admit how good he is because you don't want him to be in those kinds of spots, but he is quite good. Yeah.
Unfortunately, though, if he's not on TV enough, it's going to diminish. I'm not saying he needs to be on there all the time, but if he's going to be a champion, this is my biggest irk. If you're not going to be on TV, don't be a champion.
An argument for you all the time.
Yeah, if you're not going to be on TV, don't be a champion. If you're going to do the celebrity thing, fine, come in, do your runs, and leave, and do your thing. But like, just don't be a champion because it diminishes the fact of what you're doing here. So, and if you're going to be champion, come and wrestle. Like, just do it. So, anyways,
yeah.
All right. Go on to one of yours here, Mikey.
All right. Another one of mine on my top 5 is MJF versus Bryan Danielson, the Iron Man match.
No,
I did not watch this live. I will admit that, but I watched it another way, and it was fantastic. Honestly, it kind of changed my view of MJF as a wrestler. I think I viewed him more in the sense as like kind of, not to quote the Jericho Appreciation Society here, but as a sports entertainer, and I think he really showed his wrestling chops in this match with Danielson. And I feel like that's just a testament to Danielson's ability and what this guy does with everybody he's in the ring with. They step up when they're with him. And I feel like you have no choice. Otherwise he's going to eat you alive. And I think MJF did a really great job, and the way they structured the match was really great. I was, I feel like in today's day and age, it's really hard to keep people's attention. We're always like on our friggin' cell phones, so it's hard sometimes to sort of keep us locked in on the action. And I think they did a really good job of doing that.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I also think this was kind of the turning point for MJF. I mean, I think, everyone looked at him as, oh, he's great on the mic and he's a decent wrestler. But this kind of was his proving ground of like, can you hang with a guy who's probably the best wrestler on the planet right now? And he did a great job. And I think that kind of just elevated him to a different level. Like you said, above just being a sports entertainer. So,
and this is why that Devil storyline is even more sort of like infuriating, because look at that. Look at where he was after that.
I know.
And then like this kind of happens, and it's just like watered it down to me.
Agreed. But no, good one. I would add that to mine as well. But I had to make mine different than yours. So I had
of course.
A couple other. All right. Yeah. So I'm gonna go for one that me and you had the same. And it was, I find this interesting. It was Cody versus Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam, right?
That's right, baby.
It's hard to imagine us putting a Brock Lesnar match on here.
I know.
I mean, listen, I think he's a great wrestler and whatnot, but in this day and age with Brock, I think what made it great was that it was Cody, right? It wasn't necessarily Brock. I think Brock added to it, and at the end when he raised his arm was very unique. You've never seen Brock Lesnar do that. But I think more so, if you watch the beginning of that match, we all thought Cody was going to lose because
absolutely.
He was getting crushed. Like, legitimately, I thought he was injured 5 or 6 times.
Yeah, me too. It really showed had this, like, there's like this terminology going around in wrestling where, like, I think Gunther's been using it too as like the final boss of a game. And Lesnar has been historically for the last 20 years like a final boss, like right off the bat. Like, he's super shredder, like he's gonna bring it all down on himself rather than let you win. So I think that match told a really great story. I in preparation for this, I tried to like rewatch all of this so it was kind of fresh in my mind, and the layout of this match was really great. It was just sort of like it was almost like different like fights every time. Like, he just kept like Cody just kept trying to get in the ring, gets his ass kicked, comes out, gets in the ring, gets his ass kicked, gets out. And like, and he ends up kind of pulling it out in the end. And that sort of show of respect by Lesnar, apparently, from what they're saying, it was not planned, which I think kind of makes it all the more, I think, symbolic of, hey, Lesnar's sort of winding down. He's in the twilight of his monstrous career. So I think it was good for Cody. He kind of needed that. I think everybody was talking about that. If Cody kind of loses that, then like what's the point of finishing the story if he can't beat the guy that Roman beat? So
yeah, and anytime you rip your pants in a match, you got to be on the top matches of the year. So
absolutely,
Brock Lesnar with the little pants rippy. You gotta.
that was your big takeaway.
That sticks in my brain. It sticks in my brain. All right. All right. Well, you can go on to the next one. So we had that one in this.
We kind of shared that one. Yeah. All right. So the next one on my list is Becky versus Trish cage match from Payback. It was, oh my God, man. It was just fantastic from bell to bell. I think some people have some criticisms of that feud overall. And listen, I could sort of share some of that, but I think on the whole, it was really great to have Trish Stratus back. She got a Legends run that you normally don't see the women get. No, this is what they give to Goldberg. This is what they give to all these like old timers that decide to like just come back and have a nostalgia run. Except Trish Stratus did it much better than Goldberg. I mean, don't get me started on Goldberg. All right, I know, but I thought it was really great for Trish to be able to like get that chance to come back. And she was a regular on Raw. She was having stellar matches. She still got it. And I think she's come back in 2024 as well. And I can't wait for that. But this feud with Becky, I think kind of solidified Becky too. I think to be able to sort of hold her own with somebody like Trish Stratus, who's always held in such high regard. And for them to do what they did in this cage match, I mean, they went balls to the wall, quite honestly. I mean, what they were doing off the top of the cage. I mean, it was just it was kind of brutal. And I think oftentimes like an American audience really struggles with that, of like seeing women in these kind of like brutal matches. I mean, you saw it like with like UFC, right? People are always like up in arms, like, oh, you can't have women fight. Like, this was brutal, but I thought they did a great job with it. Yeah. And it was one of my favorite matches of the year. I went back and watched it again. It's just, it holds up. It holds up. And so people should definitely check that out.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I thought it was great. And listen, anytime Trish Stratus comes back, it's okay in my book. I was always a big Trish Stratus fan. And you know, I thought it was a great way to come full circle. And I agree with you. You're right. You have all these men legends coming back. Why not have some women legends? And I thought it was awesome. And I think she helped elevate women on TV, you know, and I thought it was great. So I 100% agree with you. And it was kind of a brutal match, which was always fun.
It was brutal. And really, like, there was ripple effects from that too, because Becky then took that and then went down to NXT. It was kind of like right after that. She goes down to NXT. She has that rivalry with Tiffany Stratton. She works with like Roxanne Perez. She's able to work with a lot of the talent down there. And so like that elevates them too. So like there's actually like a ripple effect. And that's what I like to see.
Oh, 100%. All right, I'll go on to the next one. This one was different. I'll let you end it with our last one that we had.
Is this your number one?
No, I wouldn't call this my number one. I'm not going to pick a number one. I don't want to rank I think they were all equally as good in different ways. I thought this one was a good one too. And it was Reigns versus Sami Zayn, Roman Reigns versus Sami Zayn at the Elimination Chamber. And, you know, I don't know from a technical wrestling standpoint, you would make it number one, but I think for the storyline aspect of it in itself, it was great. And, I think it needed to happen, and it just the poetry in it all of the storyline was great. And you know, I give credit to Roman Reigns, but I give credit to Sami Zayn too, because Sami Zayn was so instrumental in that storyline, you know, and it just everything leading up to it, and will he, won't he turn this, that, and then the chair shot heard around the world. Like it just was, it was great.
I am not ashamed to admit that I rewatched that Royal Rumble segment probably like 5 or 6 times, because it was so good. That was like the epitome of like drama right there. Like it was really well done, and the crowd bought into every piece of it because they just love Sammy, and that storyline got so much time to breathe. And they did a good job of sort of maintaining the interest, giving you those little bits and pieces that you can kind of like nibble on to keep you going for the next week. And man, that Montreal crowd was just fantastic for Sammy. Like, it's a shame he didn't win. I understood why. Yeah. But man, like, just a beautiful moment for Sami Zayn to come out, to be in the main event, to be fighting for the world championship against Roman. I thought it was great. It was great.
Agreed. All right, now you can give us this one we had on there. I'll let you talk about it quickly. Then let's give like just a couple guys who made it, who had a great 2023, and then a quick prediction for what we're looking for 2024.
Sure. All right. So this is my number one across the board. It's Charlotte versus Rhea. I watched this again last night, and holy smokes, guys, it's a fantastic match. The way that match is structured is very traditional, old school wrestling. They start slow. They do a lot of ground game. There's a lot of sort of back and forth of, you know, who's kind of a bit stronger. And then you get these little bits, like these little spots in the crowd. You can feel the crowd start to rumble. And it reaches that crescendo at the end when she hits her with the sort of the avalanche finisher, and she wins the match, man. I love it. I absolutely love this match. I would recommend, if people have not watched, maybe there's some people out there that don't watch women's wrestling. If you're going to watch a match, watch that one. That would be my introduction. There's just so much in terms of the presentation, the structure of the match, the story that they tell, and just the ability of both those women. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you hit all. I'm not going to elaborate too much more. Yeah, I agree with you. I thought it was great. But the great thing about this, if you look at I mean, WrestleMania really was a great show. Like we have a
Yeah,
lot
it's
of
a testament to
matches on it.
WrestleMania being really good this year.
But I mean, it was great that we had other things outside of WWE on this,
Mhm.
and it's not like we're biased. We literally just took what we thought were the best matches, what engaged
Yeah.
us the most. So I hope they continue that momentum into 2024. But quickly, I guess let's just break it down this way, Mikey.
Yeah.
I know we had like a fantasy roster. We can do this whole thing.
Yeah.
Let's just say if you were to pick 3 people that were the MVPs of the year, who would it be? And you don't necessarily need to get into why. We're running short on time, but
okay.
And then let's talk about what we're looking for in 2024 quickly.
This is tough. So my 3 kind of MVPs. First, I got to put Dom in there. I think this guy has been getting his ass kicked for the whole year, and he's handling it really well. He's getting a ton of heat. He pulls good promos. His in-ring work, it continues to improve. So Dom is up there. MJF too. This has been a dominant run for him, and I think really kind of showed a lot about him as a wrestler and his ability to carry a company. My third is I gotta say Becky. I think she's had a really stellar year overall. She's been able to do a lot of different things on a lot of different shows.
Okay, perfect. I would agree with Dom. I think Dom was up there for me too. But I'm gonna go Gunther. I think he's had a stellar year. I think MJF is too, but I'm gonna do someone different. Just because you added him on there. I'm gonna say Swerve Strickland. And I think he had a great year. But I think me and you would agree that Cody Rhodes should be on here too. I think it was his year and I think, look, you could argue there's more people, and if we had more time here today, we probably would go back and forth.
I know.
But we don't. So let's leave it at that. And what are you looking forward to in 2024?
I'm looking forward to seeing more other wrestling outside of WWE and AEW. That's kind of part of my wrestling resolution, is to make a more concerted effort. That's why I'm going to get the New Japan streaming app, and I want to just dive into that and kind of just see where it leads me. I'm just going to be like going through like favorites and people, what they recommend. I'm going to keep doing my thing with soon to be TNA Plus app, and following there, because they have a great women's division, one of the best in the business. So I'm really excited to see where they go, and maybe hopefully get to another wrestling event. That's part of my resolution. Get to another one. I wanted to go to Royal Rumble this year, but it just wasn't in the cards. So
yeah, those are good. I like that. Mine is first, I'm going to start off by saying I'm going to give the celebrities a chance, because I have turned my tune. First of all, it could have been an honorable mention, but Bad Bunny versus Damian Priest also was a great match this year. And I have to say, I will call a spade. I did not like Bad Bunny. I wish he was never a wrestler, but my tune changed after that match, and I'll give him credit where credit is due. And it was in Puerto Rico. It was a great moment for him, so it's an honorable mention. But I hope, my wish for 2024 is I hope WWE continues to go on the same path they're going, and we get to see continuous excitement, not just based around wrestlers coming in, right, but around storylines and things happening. And I hope that continues and they can elevate to that next level, because you're starting to get the old Attitude Era feeling of how, like, when you get excited about a show and whatnot, which is great. I love that. And I hope AEW rights its ship a little bit. And if it doesn't, I think this is a great opportunity, like you said, for some of those other promotions like TNA and NWA and New Japan to step up. I mean, you gotta, I think AEW is instrumental in getting eyes on other wrestling promotions, right? And what's great for the wrestling, economy. But some of the other people have to step up and spend some money to get some of these people in there and build some of their stars that they have. Jason Alexander is a great one in TNA. He's been great all year, and nobody really talks about him. So that's mine right there. So But I thought it was a great year overall. I think our podcast was more positive than negative,
Yeah, I think so
which
too.
is great, which
Yeah.
is fantastic. So,
well, awesome. So, all right, I feel like we've covered just about everything, and we're a little bit over the hour. So let's end this today. I think this was great. Thank you again, Ania, for coming on. We love having you on. Hopefully, we will get you back on in 2024. Vito, what a great year it's been together, and to many more. Let's keep doing this, man.
Happy New
Onward and
Year.
upward. Yeah, Happy New Year, everybody out there. And until 2024, keep on strutting, jabronis.